Hey, welcome back to the shop. This is Zach over at NV Woodworks. Today we're going to do a Dunkin junk, and we're dunking acrylic pellets. I was told it was virgin acrylic, so stay tuned. We'll dunk some acrylic in some resin and see how it turns up. Alright, so I decided to do two different tests. Now, the first one I kind of blew the colors on, but we were trying to do a red, white, and blue. I kind of screwed up and poured the colors together and then ended up having to mix the pellets around, and that kind of all just turned blue. So it wasn't the greatest casting, but the other one I used just a white pearl resin and then the red pellets, and that one looked a little bit better. It just seemed to go better with just the one color because you still have to mix it in regardless. The pellets are so small that the resin doesn't really just want to fill around the cracks and crevices. You kind of had to stir it around, and it didn't matter if you poured the pellets in first and then the resin on top. That was the worst. I even had to do that a little bit when I poured the resin in first and poured pellets in there. It was such a tightly packed thing that when you filled up that mold, it just was kind of crazy. It was different than anything I've ever seen before. Now, cutting these blanks was a little dicey. The table saw just wanted to kind of burn and like melt the acrylic. And so if you've ever cut a piece of, Lexan or plexiglass, it wants to kind of burn it. It doesn't cut as well as like Alumilite or wood. So I ended up actually switching to the bandsaw, and I got better results there. Then drilling, that was pretty sketchy as well. I honestly thought that the blanks were going to blow up. They just felt like they were chipping and the little pellets wanted to rip out of the Alumilite. But I made it through the drilling, and then I was almost certain that barrel trimming was going to just demolish these blanks. But for some reason, that actually went really well. It cut and smoothed it out fine. There was no chipping or anything like that. All right, so once it was time to turn them, got them on the lathe, and I decided I was going to try a couple different tools and just see how they turned with different types of tools. The first one that I tried out was the Thompson Lathe Tools spindle gouge. That's what I use mostly for turning Alumilite blanks, wood, or anything like that. I generally use just normal standard tools because I like the way that they kind of feel in my hands, and the motion is a little bit more natural. However, I'll pull out carbide tools if I'm doing something, if I'm turning something that's a very, very hard material, and I'm going to basically spend more time at the grinder than I am at the lathe. Those work perfect for that. So started off with the spindle gouge, and it cut it okay, but I was getting a lot of those little pellets just ripping right out. And so kind of reminded me of the coffee bean blanks, where you get a lot of chipping. So it worked okay. Nothing, disastrous happened, but you were definitely getting a lot of chip outs. Next thing that I tried was the Tommy G carbide tools, and those worked great again, but I mean, really, it wasn't any better than the spindle gouge, or it wasn't really any different. So I didn't really spend much time using carbide because, again, given the same results, I'm going to basically take the spindle gouge because I like that better. The last thing I tried was a skew chisel. I figured, well, if anything, this might tame this. And it was slightly better, but not enough. I mean, I was still getting chip out. So I basically just put that away because I'm really not that great with a skew chisel in the first place. And I just went back to the spindle gouge because I was getting pretty much the same result. Now, in the end, the blank had a lot of chips. I got through it, everything was fine. The blank didn't explode or anything like that. It turned fine. But a lot of those little beads came out. And so in the end, the best thing, realistically, you'd have to fill those if you were going for a finished pen. But overall, it worked. There wasn't anything seriously wrong with it, and it looked okay. So overall conclusions on this: it works. It made a decent pen, and I think that in some cases there may be some uses for these little pellets, but overall I'm probably not going to be turning any more of these things. So, but it was always fun to try, or I should say it was fun to try this, and it's always fun to try different types of materials because you never know what is going to turn into a really spectacular blank. And testing things out allows you to understand, oh, well, if I use some of this, it gives me this kind of result. And maybe that plus something else will make a really awesome blank. So if you'd like to watch the live broadcast, I do all this stuff live. I cast and I do tips while I'm doing the casting, as well as doing the turning, so we can kind of see what they look like. But I do that live on Twitch every Wednesday starting at 2 p.m. So the format is I begin the show turning the blanks that we cast the week before, and then at the second half of the show, we cast something new. And the cool thing is, I let the audience pick what we actually get to cast that day. So I have a submission form on my website where you can leave an idea of what you'd like to see cast in resin. I choose 4 from that list, and then I present it to the live audience, and they vote on whichever one they like to see that week. And then I also like to get their input on colors and what kind of resin and what we're making and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun. It's a really fun interactive thing. I like to really go through and share any tips as I'm doing the process, you know, just for people that don't know necessarily or new to casting, and I kind of explain what I'm doing. So I hope to see you over there. I'll leave a link down in the show notes, and there's probably a link up here on the screen. But the website is twitch.tv/NVWoodworks, and again, Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit of it wasn't super exciting, but it was fun trying it out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, there's my dad. Come and, oh, he's gonna make an appearance, folks. This is my dad. He's the reason I have a shop here. Tim, meet the chat. So here's the chat, Dad. Here's us, and yeah.
How's everybody in computer land? Not my world, but a world, and that's fine.
There's a little delay, like 30 seconds. Okay. We'll get some...
get some feedback?
Yeah, some feedback. So Dominic's asking, how long do you think we'll be live? I'm not sure. I'm hoping maybe around 2 hours. Mike says hi. I'm not sure who's SM2 Jones. I don't recognize your screen name, but he says hi. Maybe she. So anyway, people are saying hi. Gretchen says hi.
Gretchen said hi. Hi,
Yeah,
Gretchen.
she's moderating. So, are you going?
I'm going, yeah.
All right. Well, he made his appearance.
Nice to see you
Cameo
guys.
from Dad.
Have a good talk.
Yeah, we're gonna dunk some junk.
Okay.